Thanks, listeners, for joining us. Today's edition of Elko Live. We get to go outdoors with the fantastic Julie Gabrielson from Nevada Department of Wildlife. She's our conservation educator, and she's got a huge list of cool things to talk about. Welcome to the show, Julie.
It is pretty cool what we get to do. There's no doubt about that. And we do have a lot going on. Team Nicole. We've got Nicole St. John and Nicole Hamlin, and we're also assisted by an AmeriCorps member, Michaela Willicke, and we're just running all the time, and we fit along with all the other divisions with just always have something going. And so with that, we have our volunteer guzzler build again this year. That's going to be happening in June, on June 17th. It's actually the weekend of June 17th. It can be as long of a weekend for you as you want or short. We get out there Friday afternoon. We normally have a group dinner. We do the bulk of the work on Saturday, and then a little bit of cleanup comes Sunday morning. It's going to be out in Butte Valley, which we did another Butte Valley guzzler last year for this volunteer build. This one's going to be just on the other side of the mountain from that particular one. Last year, we had 60 volunteers in addition to staff that helped out on it. And we're looking for more again this year. We have to give a big shout out to the Elko Bighorns Unlimited because they are a big sponsor of this particular guzzler build. They pay for a lot of the food. They pay for some of the supplies for the guzzler itself. If you are interested in helping out with it, this is a family-friendly event. If you don't think you can do any of the work on the actual build, there's other things that we can put you to work on with, just getting water to everybody, maybe taking pictures for us, maybe helping out back at base camp with cooking, lots of different options. And so obviously if they're too young, and they can't, help out a little bit, and they might, hinder you on what you want to do, maybe not bring them, but we're all about having the kids out there as well. So no matter what their age is. So if you are interested, give Nicole Hamlin a call, 777-2388, and she can get you some more details and signed up for that. We also have a reptile event for you. We are in search of volunteers to help with reptile presence in Lamoille Canyon as well as Angel Lake. The project does begin in June and it goes throughout the summer, and it's really kind of a work on your own time type of a project. Very, very flexible. We give you some training and some tools to deal with this. We don't need you to touch them, which is, that's a huge part on my end.
Yeah, that's a bonus.
Yeah, I'm all about going out and let you know there's a snake there, but I don't necessarily want to touch them. So yeah, we don't need you to touch them. We don't want you to touch them. It's really just about giving us some idea of what kind of presence you're seeing on the roads at certain times of the day during the summertime. And again, that's another great way to spend time outdoors with your family. This is 100% family friendly. You can take drives up, Lamoille Canyon or up into Angel Lake in your own vehicle as well. And again, Nicole Hamlin is your contact for that, our volunteer coordinator, 777-2388. We've also got Free Fishing Day is back. It's going to happen June 10th. Cummins down in Ely will have an event down there at that lake, and then we'll also have our regular one up here at Carlin Ponds. It'll start at about 8:30 a.m. There are free prizes for the first ones to arrive, and they are limited just on how many people show up. So if you show up in the beginning, there's a good chance you're going to get one of our special prizes. If you show up a little bit later, you get to fish. And the cool thing about Free Fishing Day is that it's a free day to fish for all ages at any public water in the state without a license. And then once the day's over, then you need to make sure that you got your license for fishing any of those public waters. But that's happening June 10th. And then the Angel Lake Kids Fishing Derby, it is back again, and it's going to happen July 8th. Watch for some more details, but that's the big event that we have up at Angel Lake every July.
You have a lot of sponsors, a lot of community support for this one.
Yes, a lot of community support, and a lot of it is based out of Wells. We do get a lot of support from over here in Elko, but a lot of it is handled out of Wells.
Very nice. Yeah. And I did want to put in a plug. I know Spring Creek Association has Take a Kid Fishing at the Marina. That's a private property. That's why it's different.
Yep.
But you can find details with their office and the association and on their Facebook page.
And I think that one's coming up.
I do too.
I believe it's normally mid-May that they do that one.
Yeah. So I didn't pull it up on my phone quick enough, but it definitely go to the Spring Creek Association's Facebook page. And remember, you can fish a little close to home if you like on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And then we've got some more great educational programs. We're starting some Learn to Shoot classes. This particular July 6th and July 20th, we don't have it posted for registration just yet, but watch our class website for that. We'll be using 22 rifles for it, and we're going to sit down and teach a couple people at a time just how to shoot, get sighted in with those, and target shooting out at the Elko County range.
Nice. And it goes without saying that it comes with all the safety, right?
Absolutely.
Yes, how to check for if it's loaded, right? Put
Absolutely.
Yep.
It's essentially a follow-up to our Hunter Ed classes. So at this point, these people have gone through our Hunter Ed classes, and now we're going to take them out and we're going to show them how to actually handle them on a live range and teach them about live range, and a cold range, and really get them out there and get them comfortable with those firearms.
That's great. Yep. And of course, Hunter Ed is for those 11 and older.
Yes.
Okay.
Anybody 11 and older needs to take the Hunter Ed. In order to hunt, you have to be 12 years old in the state of Nevada to draw a tag for hunting season. But you can find those classes at NDOWlicensing.com, which is also where those shooting classes will be listed once we get those posted in the next week. We'll have it posted. But you can find all the different classes around the state, whether you're here in Elko or you're going to be somewhere else in the state, you can find them there.
Great. How did your all-female class go, by the way, for Hunter Ed?
Yeah. Yes, it's always such a great class. It's one of my favorites to do. I love Hunter Ed in general, teaching those classes, but it really brings a little bit different dynamic when you have the all-ladies.
Yep. Gives them much more, renewed confidence and strength, and
yes.
and they can, ask the questions they want to ask. And very cool, Julie.
Yes,
thanks
absolutely.
for doing that.
Yeah, thank you for asking. And then last but not least, as far as us as education side of things, we've got Nicole St. John and Michaela will be having a table out at the California Trail Days, which is June 3rd and 4th. And for more information on that particular event, you will need to get a hold of the California Trail Interpretive Center. And I think you can even see it on their website. But we'll be out there with a table and a booth there that you can come by and say hi.
Very nice. The Trail Center is open, obviously, this weekend, so you can head out and check it out in person. Very cool.
Yep.
And then we're looking at fishing.
Fishing is hot.
Yeah, even though the water's rising and it's cold and it's fast.
Yeah, and there's some places that are doing better than others. South Fork is open. The main boat ramp is also open, and Jet Ski Beach is accessible, mainly just for those smaller boats, so over a jet ski. Fishing is decent. It's slowed a little bit because the water clarity is decreasing because of the runoff. Wilson is ice-free and the road is open. It's not started to spill over yet, but it is expected to do so in the next couple of weeks with our warmer temperatures. Wild Horse is still mostly frozen, crazy as it is, but it's expected to change pretty quickly again because we are warming up. Remember, any ice out there is unsafe. Do not attempt to get out on any of that ice out there. Cummins down in Ely is ice-free. The main boat ramp is also usable. Out of Ruby Valley, the NWR is open and accessible to the collection ditch. Make sure you're using some caution when you're heading out there, though, because there's still a lot of really large snow berms along the roads and muddy areas that you might also encounter. We were just out there last week, and we ended up hitting a pretty heavy windstorm, and the wind drifts were blowing the snow across the road so heavily that it was no visibility. So these are things to make sure that you're paying attention to when you're heading out there, and be prepared. Go really slow. Don't rush it because those berms are still several feet high off of some parts of the road.
And you know what they say, if you don't like the weather, wait 5 minutes.
Yes.
In Northeast Nevada, yeah. And sometimes it can really make the difference between getting stuck and being stranded to just having some patience and sitting tight for a bit.
Yeah. Absolutely. Find a pull out where it's safe to pull out and just hold tight, because you're right. It'll change in 5 minutes, especially this time of year.
Yes.
Area rivers and streams they're going to continue to be extremely high and cold for the next couple of weeks. So really be cautious around those. Other area waters are still partially iced over, and also unsafe ice, and still inaccessible in a lot of those.
Okay, so those are really important reminders, and it may be this way for a while because, we're hoping for a slower snow melt. Temperatures, of course, are zooming up there, and that means the water will continue fast and cold, but we also have to worry about rock and mudslides.
Yes, and you were just showing me a video of Lamoille Canyon. There are quite a few slides, happening in the canyon right now, so that's we're probably going to see that quite a bit in many places.
Yep, the ground is saturated, and so there's no place for the moisture to go. It's going to bring down some of those big boulders. So for safety's sake, stay away from those places until it's completely safe.
Yeah, and pay attention to, warnings and barricades and just be diligent.
Sounds good. Thanks, Julie.
Yep.
Julie Gabrielson is from Nevada Department of Wildlife. She's our conservation educator, and we're talking about getting ready for big game season too.
Yes, and the applications have been open for about a month now. They close on Monday, May 10th at 11 p.m. The draw results will be released on or before May 19th, so you'll have them before Memorial Day weekend. To create access to an account and to start applying for those big game applications if you haven't already done so. That's also the NDOWlicensing.com website. The Google Chrome platform is the better platform to pull that up in, and it will function much better than some of the others. But NDOWlicensing.com is where you can buy your license, find all the tags that you want to apply for, and get those tags, done. Get them done.
Yeah.
I haven't done mine yet, and my husband and I every night for the last 2 weeks have said, we got to do that tonight. We got to do that. And then we get busy doing something else.
Working outside around the, and you know, Julie, the plumber's pipes always leak.
They do.
Yes.
Isn't that the truth?
Yes. So you got a pass for now.
Okay.
But don't forget that deadline is coming up.
It's happening quickly too at this point. And then the quota setting commission meeting is next weekend, May 5th and 6th. So that's coming up to set those quotas.
Yes, absolutely. County commissioners are going to be considering some support on that as well. So if you're following along, it's always a good idea. Check out the Elko County website, elkocountynv.net, for their meeting agenda. Mm-hmm. And then, I actually saw someone pulling out this morning with their boat from the NDOW office. I imagine that maybe they had stopped by your office for something.
Potentially. Yeah, it is time to make sure that your boats are registered, that you've got your all the tags, all the licenses, all the registrations that you need for your boats. But it's also yard sale season, so buyer beware on yard sale boats. If they don't have a title, we recommend you don't purchase it. It is quite the effort to go through registering a boat that you don't have a title for. Very time consuming, and you won't be able to get the boat out on the water immediately like you would hope to.
Yeah, it just turns into very expensive yard art.
Yes, it does.
And your spouse may not appreciate that.
Yeah, which might be why it's up for sale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Someone else's yard art. So.
Yes. So, and to remember, NDOW does not handle the OHV registrations. You will need to go to the DMV for that. And then our trapping questionnaires are also on all of your accounts on that NDOWlicensing.com. So if you had a trapping license, make sure you do your harvest questionnaire, because that is due.
Okay. If you want to continue that process, right? You have to fill out those questionnaires.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it goes the same with our hunts as well. At the end of hunting season, you have to fill out that questionnaire. It helps us in many, many different ways. So it is a requirement to get those done before you can apply for future licenses and tags.
And it doesn't take very long.
No, it doesn't. It's very quick.
And then on to law enforcement, obviously. Another popular family activity or for groups is to get out and go shed hunting.
Yes, and it opens soon. Monday, actually, I think is the 1st, if I remember correctly. So for those that pass the ethics test, though, you can start hunting on May 1st. Collection certificate is required May 1st through June 30th. Collection remains closed to everybody from January 1st to April 30th every year, regardless of a certificate possession. So you can't start early this weekend just because you got that certificate done. The course is free, and the link can be found at NDOW.org or even on our NDOW Facebook page. But that is something that does need to take place. You do need to get that ethics certificate done before you can get out there and start shed hunting on Monday. Okay.
And as usual, Julie, people may be seeing wildlife out there, migrating, moving around, foraging, that kind of thing. It's really important that people respect them and not encroach on them.
Absolutely. Even once shed season opens, this has been a really, really tough winter on these deer and elk. I mean, across the board, it's been really tough on our wildlife. It's even more important that we don't put any more pressure on them while they're making that transition from their winter to their summer range, because they're already depleted in their resources and their nutrition. So the less pressure we put on them, the better. So if you see them, just steer clear, find a different route, and don't push them around and cost them any more energy than they absolutely need to use.
Yeah, and if you do have a concern about animals that you think might be being harassed, you can certainly use the Operation Game Thief number or app.
Absolutely. Yeah. those are particularly great resources, and you can do it anonymously. You don't have to give a name and a phone number. If you see something that's a little hinky when you're out in the field, we don't recommend that you go and confront anybody or ask questions. Just take down some information, give it to our law enforcement officers through our Operation Game Thief phone number or through our NDOW tip app, and they will take it from there. If there was nothing hinky really going on, then then there's no harm done. But if there is, then they start following up on it from there.
All right. 1-800-992-3030 is Operation Game Thief. And then you can get at the NDOW website details about the app and how to put that on your mobile device.
Yep.
Very cool.
And another thing to keep in mind is we do have these waters opening up. And so there are going to be people getting out there with boats. So remember the boating safety. Know what's required for your vessel. Remember that PFDs are required for all passengers on board, and 12 and under are required to actually wear them. So make sure you've got all of that covered so that when you go out there, it's a fun season instead of something that might be lacking some safety and may end up in some tragedy.
Yeah, absolutely. Or certainly, getting stopped because wardens are out. That's their job to make sure people are safe.
Yep.
So they're going to check it out.
Yes.
So yeah, be prepared. And about respecting private property, that includes leaving gates the way you found them?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Leave gates open if they were open, leave them closed if they were closed. Respect that private property. There's so much that's going on out there. And with shed season opening up as well, you're going to see more people out there. So really just follow the rule of the road and be respectful of everything going on out there. And that private property is a big part of that.
And I understand too, there is also an app that you can download that delineates the private from the public property.
Well, yes, I particularly use Onyx, and it helps. It gives you all of the different boundaries for private, public, federal, even reservation land, and it helps break it all down for you. So there's a great resource there, and I believe there's a couple other apps that do it as well and help you kind of determine, because sometimes you come across property that isn't fenced and isn't posted, and it's still nice to know that whether you're crossing over into private or you're still on public land.
Absolutely. That's ONYX, Onyx?
It's actually ONX.
ONX,
yes.
just like that.
ONX.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. And then that can give you the information that you need, because you can also reach out and contact entities and get access.
Absolutely. And which is a big part of hunting season. If you've got an area that you want to hunt and the only way in is through private access, get a hold of your landowners. There's nothing wrong with calling them and asking them for permission. The worst they can do is say no.
Absolutely. And they appreciate when you ask. And generally, for the most part, in Elko County, people have given permission as long as that's not been, people haven't trashed the land. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and unfortunately, there is some of that out there, but landowners are pretty good to work with.
Absolutely. So we also want to talk about what's going on this spring season with the game and hoping that they've, as you mentioned, survived this really harsh winter.
Yes, they have. And it's bird season. Baby birds, just leave them alone. If you come across a baby bird, just let it be. Mama's nearby. It may look like it's abandoned, but it's like a 99% chance that they are not abandoned. Their best chance of survival is if we leave them alone. Field season is starting up for our diversity biologists as well. And so we see a lot of the baby bird activity. We have, folks calling us, bringing birds into us, but we do ask that you just let them be, let them do their thing. Again, and even baby fawns, the baby deer, even they are in the same boat. If you see one that looks like it's been abandoned, it's not. Mama will bed them down and tuck them away and leave them for, sometimes several hours to go and do her own thing, and then she'll come back to them. So they're not abandoned. It's really rare that they are truly, have been abandoned.
And if you have trouble convincing someone of this, Julie, you guys have some great online information, a YouTube channel with some videos.
We do. Yes. Our YouTube channel's got a ton of information on it. And you can always just call us at the office. If you think something is out of place, give us a call. We'll walk through it with you. And if we feel like on our end that, yes, something is a little miss, we'll check into it a little bit further, but otherwise we'll walk you through it and help you figure out if the situation is really, something that we need to address further or not.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. I know that in the tree streets, we sometimes have, issues with owls, and one time a vulture, and it's no fun to have a vulture in your yard that's throwing up, because when they throw up, it's really bad.
Oh my goodness. I bet.
You guys came right out to the rescue and helped the sick birds. So, So it's important to know how to do that.
Yeah.
So, on the topic, we want to discuss field season.
Field season. So yes, we're just wrapping up on the West Side shorebird surveys in coordination with the Audubon Society. It was a survey it was actually a resurvey of over 100 wetland sites across the West that were originally surveyed about 30 years ago. The surveys provide a snapshot of shorebirds, which include the killdeer, the avocets, the sandpipers, during spring migration, and gives a picture of the condition of the wetlands and how these birds are doing in comparison to the previous results 30 years ago.
Oh, wow. And that's a great indicator, obviously, of how the environment's doing, how we're doing.
Yes. And not just the wetland, but how the birds are doing, just everything involved, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And so when do we find out, do you think? Or can you find out online?
I don't think, no, we don't have the results yet. They're just wrapping it up. As a matter of fact, some of the surveys were done last week even. So I will let you know when I find out on some of those. Mackenzie is really good about sharing that information with us. So as soon as she gets it, I'm sure she'll share it with us.
Oh, that's terrific, because a lot of us are really fond of our raptors. I mean, it's just this Great Basin and Range is just such a gorgeous place for a diversity of species.
And that's just it. We have got so much going on here, and a lot of people don't know just how diverse it really can be out here.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. So the Audubon site will have more information, but we'll look forward to getting Mackenzie's report on how it looks locally. Very cool. And I'm glad you had a good turnout, local volunteers, people who care about this and wanted to help.
Yeah, it is. It's a great program. And the Bristlecone Audubon group here out of Elko do a big part of that. And they're great to work with. We partner with them on a lot of different things. As a matter of fact, we're starting to plan a field trip with them to the Argenta WMA out of Battle Mountain. We don't have 100% of the details yet, so just watch us and listen for us, because we'll let you know when we're dialing that in, as well as the Bristlecone Audubon. They'll post it as well. We have a little extra time, Julie, but that is an incredible resource, and it's new. It's new for the community, for people who care about the environment and wildlife, and it's not just an NDOW project. This was a big deal with a lot of collaborators. A very big deal, and so much. I keep saying there's so much going on there, but we've got a lot of things going on, and that WMA, last I heard, it was pretty much all underwater because of the melt off and the river had risen, but that's just going to make it all the better, not just for the birds that live there and all the wildlife that's there, but also for the habitat that's there, because it's going to bring back some habitat that hasn't been there in a long time or has really struggled. And to include, the haying and all of that's going on. So it's really neat to see it. I haven't been out there yet this spring, but I did get some reports just in the last couple of weeks of what it's looking like. And it's going to be exciting to see how it continues to grow. I'm sure some of the residents out there, being that if it is, that far underwater at this point, there were a lot of people using that to walk, just a daily walk, because it's a really nice little area that you can just go take a nice, 2-mile walk and be out there in the middle of nothing and seeing all this great wildlife in the middle of it.
That's great. Yeah. It's a gorgeous landscape, and it is a marsh, correct? So
parts of it.
Okay.
Parts of it are more marshy, and then other parts are a little bit more dry.
Wow. So it's got this great topography, and you can enjoy, whether you're into rocks or you're into landscape or the blue sky or whatever it is, the plants, the birds, the wildlife out there.
Yeah. It's neat. I mean, there's so much cool stuff out there. And we were out there a couple months ago before winter, and it was my first time out there. And I was really, it was so exciting to see all the different birds that we were seeing, as well as just what it looks like. I did not give any credit to what it looked like. I hadn't even given much thought to what it would look like, but it was just beautiful. And it had all the autumn colors with it. Lots of leaves on the trees at the time that were starting to come down. And so it's a neat addition to all of our WMAs, and so close to such a neat community as well.
Oh, that's great, Julie. Thanks for the assessment. Obviously, it's something that people might be whizzing past on Interstate 80 in both directions and not even know it exists, but it's this beautiful refuge.
Yes.
And now because of the vision and passion of people who care, it gets, we get to use it. We'll get to see it and enjoy it for decades to come, hopefully generations.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a neat addition.
Very cool. Yeah. Well, we kind of blasted through everything today, unless you've got more stuff.
We got busy today, didn't we?
Julie and I both decided we want to go outside. So if you don't mind, we're going to check out maybe 5 minutes early.
Yes.
Does that work?
I'm going to go take a Sunday instead of a sick day. I'm just going to go take a Sunday.
That sounds like a plan. Julie, thank you so much for the time that you bring us. And again, for heading up wonderful efforts, whether it's with volunteers or your terrific team there at Nevada Department of Wildlife. We look forward to our visits.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Julie Gabrielson with Nevada Department of Wildlife. She's our conservation educator and our guest here on Elko Live today. Thank you, listeners, for joining us for another program here on KELK.